guys are stretching and some people are showing up to do a quick explanation to maybe the jiu-jitsu students in the room, maybe some people who have never done karate before that are just watching and might be curious as about why to do it, like why there might be any interest in doing traditional karate. So a lot of people do very modern martial arts. Actually, hold on one second, because I realized that I have playing in the background right here. Some feedback. Okay, so why does someone do traditional karate? I've been doing it for closing in on 30 years now. Senpai Adri has been doing it like most of his whole life, probably about 20 years when you add it all up as well. Why do we spend all this time doing it when there's all these other martial arts, these modern ones? There are different things. I don't want you to think of it being like karate versus jiu-jitsu, karate versus Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu versus wrestling. People do that too often. They think of their martial arts as you're either doing this one or that one. People tend to, whatever one they kind of went to first, that's the one they're going to say is the best no matter what. Here's an argument I'm going to make for why traditional karate is something that everyone should give a try, even if it's not your primary martial art. And the idea goes back to the simple idea of a classical art form. So if you wanted to start learning how to play music, you want to learn to play the guitar, you want to be in a band, you want to be a rock star, right? Some people would still suggest to you that learning classical music has its value, right? There's a reason that like Beethoven and Bach and Mozart have existed for so long and are still being taught to kids and even to adults, because there's value in the classical material, right? It can easily get lost forever if people stop using it and stop working on it. And it's the same thing with traditional martial arts, with traditional karate. If we were to stop doing it, we were to stop teaching it, it would disappear forever. Would that be the end of the world? Like, no, it wouldn't. Things have been lost in antiquity forever, but the idea behind it is that our martial arts, in my opinion, there's 3 different uses for it. And the first one is utility. The second one is sport. And the third one is art. And what I mean by utility is any way in which your martial arts is actively, directly useful to you. So like losing weight is a great reason to do the martial arts. Self-defense is a great reason to do the martial arts. A community of people doing the same thing with you that you might enjoy is a great reason to do martial arts. There's all these reasons that are directly functional, and that's one reason to do them, is that you get this direct thing out of it. The second thing is sport, and when I say sport, I just mean any part of it that is competitive. I don't necessarily mean that you have to compete, but you have to do tournaments, you have to try and win medals, but that element of most martial arts where there is a competitive element, where you've got another person, a thinking person trying to win a game of whatever it is, if it's sparring in karate, if it's a fight or competition in a Muay Thai, whether it's just rolling in jiu-jitsu, like the fact that the other person is putting their mind against you, that's a fun element to all of it no matter what. This idea that you're trying to outthink and strategize, the competitive side of it. So again, when I say the sport, I don't mean you have to compete. You don't have to go out there trying to win medals for it to be a sport element. And what's the third one? The third one's art. And what can that's saying? Whatever you want it to be. It's art. So like art is in the eye of the beholder. It's in the eye of the artist. So whatever part of the martial art you enjoy aesthetically, that's your art. And that can be any of the martial arts. Any martial arts is going to have a certain element of utility to it, a certain element of sport to it, and a certain element of art to it. Some more than others, right? And you hear people complain, like, jiu-jitsu, people all the time. You'll hear traditionalists saying, oh, if you're not doing jiu-jitsu for self-defense, you're not doing jiu-jitsu. And then you'll have other people that are like, if you're not competing, then how do you even know if your jiu-jitsu is any good? And the vast majority of jiu-jitsu practitioners just do it for their own enjoyment and study of it. Most jiu-jitsu competitors don't compete. Most jiu-jitsu competitors aren't focused explicitly on how to defend themselves if they were getting attacked in the street. And so when we get to traditional karate, I tend to think there's a huge utility to it. It's going to help you get in shape. It's going to give you flexibility and body control. There is a sport element to it, whether you're competing or not. And then there's a giant artistic side to it. And the artistic side has to do with being precise, trying to make your techniques as exact as possible. Use your body to put your limbs exactly where you want. So if there's someone here who has never done karate before, who's trying here for the first time, then what I'd like your focus to be on is try to replicate the techniques you see us do as closely as you can. Try and be as precise as possible. Don't beat yourself up when you can't, but try to be very picky about exactly how you do the techniques. That's the form of the art here. If you were an artist with like pen and paper, some artists, their goal is to make something very stylized. It doesn't look like the real thing. It's meant to be this very broad artistic sense. And then there's someone else who wants to make it look photorealistic. They want to draw something and you look at it and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe someone drew that. It looks like a photograph or it looks like a perfect rendition of the thing. That's what traditional karate is more, is can we do this perfect rendition of the material that we see in front of us, the same way it's been done for a couple hundred years, the same way that your instructor is doing it, your fellow training partners, with the slight variation based on your body type, your size, and all of that. So that is what we're looking to do, traditional art form of karate. If you've never done it before, please join us. If you're a regular student, been doing it forever, we're gonna do a nice solid class, lots of basics, lots of techniques. We'll go from there. So we'll just do a kind of very simple version of our bow in here at the very beginning. We're both gonna turn, face the shins and bow. Nice. We're gonna face each other, bow. Nice. We're gonna face the camera, and we're just gonna go into mock-so for a moment. Join us, feet together, hands together, close your eyes. So you may open your eyes and no, all right. So everyone, picking up a fighting stance, right leg back, kamaite. Yeah. Just warming our body up by moving around, shadow boxing. So start moving around, throwing some punches and kicks just for a minute. The goal is just to get your heart rate up a little bit, just to feel your body move, just to maybe break a sweat, so that when we stretch in a moment, you're ready to go. For those of you that are brand new, there's like no way to do this wrong. Just put your hands moving in front of you. Every so often lift up a leg and throw. If you're not very flexible or you don't feel like you can throw any of these kicks high, just throw them low so that you don't risk pulling a muscle in the part of class that's specifically meant to just warm us up. Just 15 more seconds. And yamen, that means stop. Good, face bow. All right, so now on your own, stretch out any way you'd like. So those of you at home, pick some stretches either for your lower body, upper body, both. It's often better to warm up just a little bit before you start stretching. Stretching cold, not only does it work as well, but actually runs the risk of injuring something. So when we go into some of our basic techniques here, I'm going to give a good amount of explanation just to make sure that two things. One, that if you're new to this, you understand what we're doing. And second, if you're more experienced, we got to always be checking in on those details, right? The details will drift. They will start to become less and less solid if we don't pay attention. And so that's going to be our goal a little bit. Senpai, Andrew, move on over to that center square there, just so you're kind of directly in the center of the camera. And now we're going to be picking up our right Sanshin Dachi, both hands up. Kamaite. So our Sanshin Dachi is what we call our three-point stance. One of your feet, in this case your right foot, should be 1 foot in front of your left foot. The camera's not looking at the feet, but I want you to imagine that your right foot is exactly 1 foot length in front of your left. So the heel of your right foot is lined up with the toes of your left foot. And now start turning your toes in slightly and bend your knees a little bit. Very good. Both fists straight out. Right fist pull back to your chamber. Whenever we pull our chamber back, our hand is turned over so that when we throw our punch, our fist turns at the very end of the technique. If we turn it early and shot put it forward, then our forearm never gets involved in the punch. If we wait until the end, the forearm gets added to it. We want to be leading with our first 2 knuckles on every punch. And as you notice, there's a straight line between the forearm bones and the knuckles to reinforce it. If we punch like this, it looks like, oh, it's straight, but in fact it's not. The odds of injuring our wrist are significant. So knuckles turn directly behind the forearm bones. All right, slow at first, switching hands on each count. Ich, ni, and remember we want to twist at the very end. Sun, chi, go, rook. On each count now, the same exact thing, but a bit faster. If you're wearing a gi, I want to hear that gi snap on each punch. If you're wearing a t-shirt, it's going to be a lot harder, but try your best. Ready? Ich, ni, sun, chi, go, rook, sich, hunch, Coop, jump. We do 10 more with a loud ki each time, letting out a shout. The goal is that the punches when we ki are way stronger, and the result is that shout. We're not shouting just for the sake of shouting. 10 times. Ready? Ich.
Yeah.
Ni.
Yeah.
Sun.
Yeah.
Chi.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Rup.
Yeah.
Sich.
Yeah.
Hatch.
Yeah.
Coop.
Yeah.
Jump.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's bring that punch up to face height. It should be the height of your face. We're always imagining that our opponent is our size, just for the purpose of being consistent. Obviously, opponents will vary. Slow and strong with that deep breath. Ich. Ni. Sun. Chi. Go. Rook. Good. We're going to punch fast. Same exact idea before. Before we do, everyone look down at your stance. Are we still in Sanshindachi? Is that right foot still one step in front? Are our knees bent or our toes turned in a little bit? Ready? Ich. Ni. Sun. Chi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hunch. Coop. Yup.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to make Adri stand here ki-ing all by himself and I can't count and ki at the same time, let's move on to our next punch. Let's bring the left punch down to the low height, Gedan Suki. So then the wrist of your left hand should be lined up with your waist or with your belt if you're wearing one, and we're punching down nice and slow. Ich. Ni. Sun. Keep going. Chi. Go. Rook. Very good. Punching fast. Ich. Ni. Sun. Chi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hatch. Coop. Jump.
Yeah.
So now we're going to put all three punches together. For people that are brand new to karate, this is the point in which you hit the first moment where your body might be being asked to move faster than your mind can keep up with it. This might be the very first time. So if you struggle with this combination, don't worry, it will come with practice. The goal is not to get it perfectly right the first time. The goal is to, as you do it a number of times, get slightly better, slightly better. Maybe by the time we get to the end of them, you'll nail one or two really good ones. For those of you that are more experienced, that have been doing karate with me for a while, your goal should be to start off nice and slow and easy, and by the time we get to the 10th one, you're throwing the combination like we mean it. It's going to be a face punch, and then the other hand a stomach punch, and the other hand a down punch. The key always is that your chamber hand is the one punching, so that we start here. Don't start to punch with this hand. Sometimes people make that mistake. Chamber hand high, chamber hand middle, chamber hand down. Ready? Ich. Up, middle, and down. Again, and remember, if you're starting to handle it, go a little faster. If it's still a struggle for you, stick with what you're doing. Ni. Sun. Chi. Go. We're going to start going a little faster. Rook. Sich. Hunch. Coop. Jump.
Yeah.
Very good. Whenever we have a combination with a ki on it, we almost always ki on the last motion of the combination. Let's do 10 of those, ki on the down punch. Ready? Ich. Hip. Ni. Hip. Sun. Hip. Chi. Hip. Go. Hip. Rook. Hip. Sich. Hip. Hunch. Hip. Coop.
Yeah.
Jump.
Yeah.
We're going to return back to our normal stance, our ready stance. Your front leg, your right leg is going to move. Your right arm is going to come in front. No, ready. Very good. Down on your stomach. You're going to spend 30 seconds, when I say go, doing any style of push-up or upper body exercise that you'd like. It can be push-ups on your knees, it can be on your feet, they can be wide, they can be narrow. The goal is in 30 seconds, you feel as though you did something, you got a little bit stronger. And begin, go. Adri has very strong push-ups, so he's blasting out regular push-ups non-stop here. That's great, that's great. If that's not where you are yet, that's fine. The goal is that after 30 seconds, you feel as though you gained some ground in your strength. 10 more seconds. Stay with us. And down. Everyone roll over onto your back. And I know some of you at home are going, oh cool, here's the minute and a half where I can just take a break and not do anything and just watch Adri do crunches and push-ups. And you're right, I can't tell that that's what you're doing, but when I see you next time, I will know. I will look you in the face and I will know that you skipped out on the push-ups and the crunches here. I'll join us for the crunches on this one. And 30 seconds, go. 10 more seconds. And down. So now on your own, stretch out any way you'd like. And while you're stretching, I'm going to explain what we're going to do the next thing. Again, specifically to the students that are brand new, but even if they're not. So the next technique we're going to do are called Uraken strikes. All of our basic punches are called seiken, which means the front of the fist. Uraken is the back of the fist. We're hitting with the back of our knuckles instead of the front. This technique has a very interesting specific idea to it. The idea behind it is that to throw this strike properly, we want to have a tight fist, but we want to have a relaxed wrist. And that's something that for many people, especially at the beginning, is a little difficult. You either have a tight fist and the wrist is also strong, which is good for regular punches, or you relax your wrist and your fist relaxes also. The analogy that I like to use for this is like a ball and chain, like the weapon they used to call a flail, where you've got the ball at the end of a loose chain. Your fist here should be like the steel ball. Your wrist should be like the chain. And the idea is that action of the wrist being relaxed means that this is a very quick technique. It comes out quickly and hits hard with the back of these knuckles. But the idea with this is that we're not going to turn over like a punch. Many times at the beginning when people are learning this back fist strike, they twist it. They think it's more like an old school boxing punch back in the old days. That's not what we're looking to do here. We're hitting with the back of the fist. So let's stand up if you haven't already at home. Andrew, you can move over to the center square here just so people can see a little clearer. And now we're going to pick up the same stance as before, but with our left leg instead. So we were at right sanshindachi, remember, with one foot in front of the other like this. We're now going to do left foot in front. So everyone, left foot comes in front, both hands come up, kamaite. We're going to bring our hands together right around the height of our chin, but a bit away. You shouldn't be close to your face, one, so you don't hit yourself, and also because it's not as strong a position for your elbows. A little bit away from your chin. And we're going to snap the strike. Imagine we're hitting an opponent square in the center of the face with the back of their knuckles. Starting with your right hand and then alternating. Ready? Ich. Left hand. Ni. San. Chi. Go. Rup. Sich. Hach. Ku. Go.
Yeah.
Everyone take both fists and bring them together. Okay. So this is the same strike. It's called Urakens Sai Uchi, but it's done to the side. It's not Urakens Sai Uchi, it's Urakens Sai Uchi. So we're striking exactly like we were straight ahead, but off to the side instead, and from here. Each time we bring it back to where we started, your arms from elbow to elbow should be around chest height, not up by your face, not down by your belly. Starting with your right hand, in our case that's going this way, and then bring it back. Ready? Ich. Left hand. Ni. San. Chi. Very good. Go. Keep going. Rup. Sich. Hach. Go. Go.
Yeah.
Very nice. Third one, this is the last one that a brand new student, a white belt, would need to know, and is easily the hardest of the three. This is called Uraken Furyuchi, and now we're going to put one fist on top of the other, like we're holding a baseball bat, but down by around waist height or belly height. And now the key is we're striking to the side, and we're keeping our fist in that posture, so we don't want to bring it over this way. We don't want to bring it up. We want to bring it straight to the side, and then when we bring it back, it comes underneath. So the next one is ready to go from here. So on each one, we're bringing it back where we started. So right hand first, and then back to underneath. Ready? Ich. Underneath your left hand. Left hand, look every time we strike. Ni. San. Chi. Go. Rup. Sich. Hach. Ku. Go.
Yeah.
Very good. So now, if you are a current student and you are above blue belt or higher, you're going to do the fourth strike. Senpai Adri is going to bring his left arm up into Uraken Mawashi Uchi for you. Yep, right hand's behind. You guys should already know this strike. If you don't know this strike, you're not going to do this strike. You're going to do the one I'm doing, the Fury Uchi again, that we just did a minute ago. So again, if you know Uraken Mawashi Uchi, do it. If you don't know Uraken Mawashi Uchi, you're doing what I'm doing, Uraken Fury Uchi. Ready? Ich. Ni. San. Chi. Go. Rup. Sich. Hach. Go. Go.
Yeah.
Very good. Everyone bring both hands back to where we started. Back to the very first strike. So here's where we're going to do a combination again, just like we did the 3 punches earlier. However, the combination is going to vary based on your experience level. So if you are brand new, have never done karate before, you're one of my jiu-jitsu students, someone random from the internet who want to do that, it's fine, great. This is the first time you're doing this. We are putting just the first 4 moves together, the first 2 techniques in 4 moves. So we're going to do Uraken Shomenuchi and Urakens Shomuchi. Go ahead. Yep, right and left. You're gonna bring your fists together, and you're gonna go Sayuchi, right and left, and you're gonna bring it back here. So the 4-move combination looks like this. And ich, go ahead, please. And then back to where you started. That's it, that's the first one. Second combination, this is if you are one of, you've already done some karate, but maybe you're still a white belt or blue belt, somewhere in that range. You're gonna do 6 moves. So we're gonna go Shomanuchi, Shomanuchi. 1, 2, fists together. Sayuchi, Sayuchi. Right fist on top of left. Furiuchi, Furiuchi. And then back here. No matter what you're doing, you're gonna finish back here, ready to do the next one. And so if you mess up somewhere, just get back to here. You'll be join us on the next count. Finally, if you're an experienced student, one of my more higher ranking students, or you feel like you can handle all of it, we're doing 8 moves. So let's do it together. We're going Shomanuchi, Shomanuchi, fist together. Sayuchi, Sayuchi, fist on top. Furiuchi, Furiuchi. Now left hand up, right hand back. Mawashiuchi, Mawashiuchi. And then come on back. So you're either doing 4 moves, you're doing 6 moves, or you're doing 8 moves. That's how many fingers? 8 moves, depending on your experience level. Either way, we come back here, we can consider that like the 5th, 7th, or 9th move if we want, coming back to here. So, on your own. If you are new, copy the first 4 moves we do. If you're in the middle, copy 6. Ready? Ich. We're doing all of it. Come on back. Very good. Again. Ni. San. Chi. Keep breathing, keep breathing. And go. Whole thing, ki on the end. Hip. Your left foot's in front. It's going to pull back. Your left arm's going to pull back on the outside. Nare. Very good. Shake it out, shake it out. So once again, down on your stomach, push-up position. But this time, I want you to do something different. So before, maybe you were going normal push-ups. Now go a little wider. Now do offset. Now do in tight. Now maybe hold a plank. Something that is still going to work your upper body. Plank admittedly works your abs a little bit. But find something different. 30 seconds. Go. And down, over onto your back, 30 seconds, do a different abdominal exercise. If you did regular crunches before, maybe do obliques, maybe do some leg raises, something that works on a different section of your core. For those that are unaware of it, anything that moves your upper body works on the upper abs, so like crunches, sit-ups. Anything that lifts your legs or holds them off the ground works your lower abs. Anything involving a twist works the obliques, the sides. Your goal is to pick which one you want to work on. Our general goal with conditioning, you can go ahead, Urakens. One of the things that we want to think with our general conditioning in general is that it shouldn't just be, oh, go do a number. Oh, do 10 push-ups. Do 30 crunches. Maybe 10 push-ups is easy for you. Maybe it's hard for you. Maybe it's just right. But the idea is that instead our goal is to exercise in a way that our body feels like we did it. That's the only way you gain strength, the only way you get further. And down. And finally, stretch again on your own, 30 seconds. Pick a stretch that's actually going to gain you some flexibility in something. So traditional karate is often thought of, and I know I always do things in 3s, it's a nice system for learning things, but this actually predates me. Karate in 3 different areas, and the 3 different areas are often called kihongs, kata, and kumite. Kihongs means basics. What we're doing right now is basics. Beyond basics, kata, obviously for the experienced students, kata refers to the long sequences of 20-odd moves put together, but kata doesn't have to just be that. Kata is kind of anything that is memorized as like a specific series and any of that. And the third and final one is kumite, which is sparring, which is fighting. So we're going to hit all 3 of these areas, right? We already did some kihongs, we did some punches and some back fist strikes. We're going to do a few more of those. And then we're going to do some kata, whether we do full katas or just do some sections of them. And then finally, in kumite, since you probably don't have a partner to spar, and trying to keep our social distancing, we're not going to do any active sparring. We do some sparring techniques, combinations that you would use in a sparring setting, how you take some of these traditional techniques and kind of guide them over toward a more modern fighting type environment. Let's stand up. Okay. We're gonna hit just a couple of more basics, but we're gonna now do them from moving instead of some standing still. So we're gonna take one big step back towards the mirror, so we have a bit more room to come forward. We're now gonna step back into our Zen Kutsurachi Geramburai. You're gonna hear this all the time going into this position to start. So right leg back, Zen Kutsurachi Geramburai, Amaite. Watch as you there.
Yeah.
Okay. So to describe Zen Kutsurachi, again for the very newest students here, I'll do it fast for the more experienced ones to not get overwhelmed with it, is that we wanna have one leg forward and bent, the other leg back and straight. Your front toes are pointing directly in the direction you wanna go. That makes your front knee pointing that way as well. Your back toes are pointing at 45 degrees. For those that do yoga, this is very, very similar to a warrior one pose. In fact, I'm quite sure there's some overlap there in the origin of this stance. The one difference is that in yoga, they'll often teach you to turn your hips so that they're fully square. It's great stretch. It's not as strong of a position. It's good for flexibility, not strength. So you actually want to allow the back hip to be a little further back. Your back knee should be locked out. If we lock out our front knee, it's vulnerable to getting injured. Our back knee is safe because it's back here, and when we lock it out, we create this really strong bolster of our back leg. So now we're gonna work on some traditional elbow strikes. Everybody take your left elbow and bring it out in front of you. Your left fist should be right around the center of your sternum, and your right hand should be a regular chamber. We're gonna step forward, and on each count, twist this elbow in front. As we do that, the hand that was out is gonna come back into a chamber. And so we twist in front. We don't want to over twist, it'll compromise our stance. We also don't want to under twist and the elbow's over here. Right in front of you, right off your chin. Stepping forward, Iji Mawashi Ate. Ready? Ich. Ni. One more. Sun.
Yeah.
Hip. We're going to step back and do the same strike. Ich. Ni. Sun. Hip. Senpai, as you move over one step to the center line here, no, up towards me. And now, all of you guys are gonna do it a couple more times. I'm just gonna count for you. Ready? Stepping forward, ich, across, ni, sun, kia.
Yeah.
Stepping back, ich, ni, very nice, sun.
Yeah.
Good, we're now gonna take that left hand and leave it from the sternum up to our ear. So now the strike, instead of going across, is rising up underneath the chin. This is called Ijiage, rising elbow strike underneath the chin. Stepping forward, ready? Ich, ni, sun, kiai.
Yeah.
Stepping back, ich, ni, sun.
Yeah.
Very good. We're going to put them together in a combination of 3 techniques. It's going to be across the mawashi, other hand age, rising up, and across. When you do the rising elbow, because it's going to be done off what we call the reverse hand, you can let the back heel come off of the ground. Probably not that high, but the idea is that the back heel can break off of the ground slightly before you go to the third strike. By the time we do the third strike, we should be in position. Across, up, across. Across, up, across. Ready? Ich. Across, up, across. Again, ni. 1, 2, 3. Sun. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Stepping back, ich, ni, sun.
Yeah.
Very good. Everyone take that left elbow that's right now across and put it to the side. So this is our Iji Yoko Ate, our side elbow strike, and we're gonna have the elbow to this left and our right hand on top of the fist. Every time we step forward, we're gonna line our hands up to the opposite direction and drive sideways towards the target. Stepping forward and then driving sideways towards the opponent. Stepping forward with our right hand strike. Ich. Make a fist with your right, drive to the side. Ni. Sun. Right hand again.
Yeah.
Stepping back. Ich. Ni. And sun.
Yeah.
Very good. We are going to step forward and add that to the end of the last combination. Here's something that happens with combinations all the time. You have a combination. Let's say you guys were doing the across, up, across, and you were getting it. It was coming along well. And now I add something at the end. It makes sense that we go 1, 2, 3, and then like, wait, which way? Okay, and drive to the side. That's how it happens. What happens is people start and they mess up like the first move. They go like, because they're letting the thing at the end mess up the thing they were already doing well. Do the combination you already did, part you already did right, and then when you get here, add that next part to it. Maybe as you're like finishing the third technique, you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna go sideways, I'm gonna drive it. That's fine, like that's when you should start thinking about it. If you think about it right at the beginning, well, there's a side strike at the end, you're gonna mess up the beginning and you already had that part down. So, across, up, across, side. Ready, step forward, itch, across, up, across, same elbow to the side. Boom. You're always doing the side strike kind of over your front leg, not to the open space over here where it's gonna make you lose your balance. Knee across with the left, right hand up, left hand across, and drive to the left. Very good. Last one, forward, sun, across, up, across, side. Boom. Let's step back, do the same thing. Itch. Knee. And side, and sun. 2. And very good. Back leg comes forward. So when we're in, let's actually back up a little bit for, again, the newest students in the room. When we're in our San Shindachi, we got there by stepping our leg forward. So we recover by bringing it back. When we're in our Zen Futsudachi, we got here by stepping back. We're going to recover that by stepping it forward. We want to create this symmetry from the beginning of things and the end of things. There's always a way to do every single part of it. Here we go. So back leg comes forward, right arm comes to the outside. Gnaw right. Very good. Shake it out. We won't squeeze in another set of push-ups or crunches right now. We'll move on very quickly to our next thing. Everyone take a moment though just to stretch out your legs a little so we can do some kicks. So everybody who's watching, and again specifically the newest students, when it comes to kicking, here's what I would like you guys to think about. Your leg weighs a lot. Your leg is inherently stronger than your arms, right? Kicks hit hard. Because of that, often one of the mistakes people make, especially at the beginning with kicking, is they try too hard to kick hard. You usually don't need to. If you can get your leg going toward the target quickly, if you can get your leg going to where you want in the target fast, the power is going to take care of itself. Don't try to muscle it. Muscling it will often tighten things up and will actually limit your range, limit your flexibility. Relax, relax. Just put your foot on target. Think about what we're trying to do with our hands and our feet, with our feet, and get your leg to where it needs to go, not try to get a hard kick. I want to blast. You're kicking the air. It's also not necessarily great on your legs to be throwing super hard kicks when you don't have anything to stop it. It's like throwing a ball without holding anything, and it's like a lot on your shoulder. Same thing for your hip and your legs and your knees. If we just are kicking in the air and trying too hard. Think speed, think height. Don't worry about power. Power will come. All right. We're now going to shift from doing a traditional stance into a modern fighting stance instead. A little bit later in class, we're going to actually do some fighting techniques from here, not just straight kicks. But right now, we're going to do it fighting stance for the base for our basic kicks. Right leg back into a fighting stance, hands up by your shoulders. Kamaite. Good. So from our fighting stance, the idea behind a fighting stance is that your feet are loose on the ground. This should be very similar to a boxing stance or a kickboxing stance. Our feet should be light. At no point are both of our heels on the ground. Ideally, neither of your heels are on the ground. You're on the balls of your feet the whole time. That's very challenging for a lot of people. So you can have one heel down at any given time, but never both. Then we're what's called flat-footed. We can't move. So from here, we have a front leg and a back leg. Don't worry about if it's left or right. I'm going to always refer to it as front and back. We're going to snap our front leg with a front snap kick. It's going to be light and fast, straight out to the midsection. And a small detail, I don't know if I can get into the camera, is we'd like to hit with the ball of our foot. So we'd like to have our foot straight and our toes up, opposed to a flat bottom foot. And certainly we don't want to point our toes like a ballet foot. The ball of our foot on each one, so it's as though our foot is hitting with just that small area of the ball. Ready, itch, knee, sun, cheek, go, rook, sich, hunch, coup, jump.
Yeah.
We're now going to kick off the back leg. This is a different kick, often called a hikome or a thrusting front snap kick. Our hip's going to come forward, and we're going to kick through the target instead of just snapping it. So I know I said before about power. Again, you're not trying to kick hard. You're trying to lengthen your body on each kick so that it goes long. We're not trying to kick hard. Ready? Itch. Bring it back. Knee. Bring it back. Sun. Cheek. Go. Rook. Sich. Hatch. Go. Jump.
Yep.
Very nice. Stay in this stance. We could switch so that the front leg and the back leg kind of get both equal work in the style of kicks, but we're not going to do that today. We'll just stay in this regular right leg back fighting stance. This would be the fighting stance for a right-handed person in general, although either one could do either one. All right, we're now going to do roundhouse kick. So our body is going to stay slightly sideways. When you lift your shin, it should be on this diagonal instead of straight up and down, and then snap the foot out from there. Now we're using the top of the foot instead of using the ball of the foot, or we'd be hitting with our shin bone. So as you move on over one step here, because there's no way I'm going to be able to keep my breath and count and teach while also throwing these kicks. So front leg roundhouse kick. Ready? Ich. Good. Cheat. Go. Rook. Sich. Hatch. Coop. Jump.
Yep.
Back leg roundhouse kick. So back leg roundhouse kick is considered one of the most powerful kicks in all of the martial arts. This thing swings like a giant baseball bat, and that's what we're going to do here. You can either swing and follow through. I don't recommend turning all the way around because you'll start getting dizzy, or you can snap it and bring it right back. Watch somebody me for a second. He's going to demonstrate both versions. So on the first one here, he's going to snap to hit the target and then bring his leg right back. Ready? Ich. Snap and bring it back. So it's a slightly lighter one, even though it's the back leg. Second one, he's going to kick and follow through either the floor or all the way around. Knee. Boom. Big version. So you saw he went all the way around. You can do that. I wouldn't do that over and over and over because, again, you'll get dizzy. But that's the idea of the kicking through with this back leg roundhouse kick. So back leg roundhouse kick, I'm going to count slow so that you can either do the snapping or the swinging through version. Ready? Ich. Knee. Sun. Cheat. Go. Rook. Sich. Hatch. Cook. Ju.
Yep.
Very good. So now, you can nare.
Oh,
You can just shake it out for a moment. I'm now going to explain an idea. I'll hunker down a little. I'm going to explain an idea, and we're going to do our next technique. Again, many of you have done this with me before. It's going to be a combination, and what the idea I'd like you to understand is that combinations are often just a shortcut to taking advantage of things that people make mistakes in. So what I mean by that is a combination works because you have a first technique and then a second technique and maybe a third technique. And the second technique is often going to take advantage of how the defense of the first technique isn't perfect. So the person defends the first technique, they leave something else open. And so a set combination, the second technique is meant to exploit the defense of the first one. And then maybe the defense of the second one is exploitable, and that's where the third technique will land. So the idea is that you end up going from a technique that they defend, and then the second technique maybe catches them somewhere else, and then while they're defending that, the third technique comes in there as well. And that's what we're going to actually look at here. Sometimes I'm just going to face me. We're going to keep social distance like we're supposed to, even though we practically live in the same house, but we don't. So here we are. We've got 6 feet between us. The camera might not show it, but we've got marks on the floor and stuff. But the idea, you can come a little bit closer. Right. The idea is that often when I'm fighting stuff by Adri here, and I throw that first technique, that front snap kick, right? There's a few ways Adri can defend it, and some of them are right and some of them are wrong. If Senpai Adri defends this back leg with his right hand to parry my leg, you can use your imagination here as I throw the kick. He parries that leg. That's actually a great defense. There's not many ways for me to exploit it. In fact, as the way I saw my follow through motion, he can like move me out of the way, and I end up like being in a really terrible position. If he makes a mistake and he blocks with the front hand instead, he drops that down. Boom. Cool. It might block the kick, like it might work, but it also gives an exploit for me to take advantage of, and that's his head. So when he brings that left hand down, that left hand no longer is defending his head, and that allows me to throw something else. Now, if I throw the front kick and he blocks down, and then I put my foot down and I go to throw that roundhouse kick, by the time I get there, his hand's back up. It doesn't work. The idea is that as I throw that front kick, I see his hand start to move, and right away, we turn it into the roundhouse kick. If I wait too long, or I try to do both kicks fully, it's not going to work. His hand comes back up. But as I start the front kick, his head opens up. And so that's the goal. We're putting these two kicks together, front snap kick, roundhouse kick, where the ultimate goal is that the roundhouse kick happens right after the front kick. The front kick, you might even throw just the beginning of the front kick before you throw the roundhouse kick. So, as you come on back here,
It's going to be off of the back leg every time, and in a minute we'll switch legs and do it with the left leg. So right leg, front snap kick, and then roundhouse kick. Ready, itch. 1, 2. Very good. Bring it back. Knee. Very good. Sun. Very nice. Cheat. For those of you that don't have the flexibility to really get a high roundhouse kick yet, right now it just needs to be higher than the front kick. If that means that instead you go front kick here, roundhouse kick there, that's fine. That's a fine place to start. Low and a little bit higher. It'll get to body head as you practice more. Cheat. Go. Root. Sitch. Hatch. Go. Jump.
Yep.
Very nice. Everyone switch your feet and take 15 seconds or so just to shake it out. Let your hips and your hamstrings and your legs recover a little bit, especially if this is new for you. If you are not a regular karate student, then your legs will feel this very quickly. That's fine. They also will very well feel this tomorrow. But the idea is that let's make sure we don't leave here with any injuries, anything really tweaked up. Sore is fine, injured is not. Okay, left leg, same thing. Front snap kick, roundhouse kick, and itch. Very good. Knee. Sun. Cheat. Go. Root. Sitch. I'll count a little slower for everyone to keep up. Hatch. You don't have to kick slower, I think. Go. And just kick the way you kick. Go.
Yep.
Very nice. So now your right leg is in front. Let's remember what I said before about the idea being that anytime we go into a stance, we then recover the way back. The one exception to that is where we are right now, the fighting stance. The idea behind this, quite simply, is if you were sparring somebody or doing a partner drill with somebody, and we're both here in a fighting stance. So we got into this fighting stance by stepping back. So if we were to do it the traditional way, we would step forward to come back. But if you're doing something with a partner and you're now right here on top of each other, then you think, no, right, both of you step forward, and it's like now it's even more aggressive. You're in each other's faces. So whenever we're in a fighting stance, whether it's because we're sparring or we're doing a sparring position drill, we always gnaw right by the front leg coming back. You're disengaging from the other person if there's another person, and that just becomes the habit there. So it's the exception to the rule, but it almost makes you able to remember the rest of the rule. Okay, guess what? Down in your stomach, 30 seconds. Go, go. I'll join for this for a sec. Begin. And down, onto your back. 30 seconds crunches, begin. It's nice to see so many of you here watching. I also see a bunch of people watching who are, friends of mine from the larger martial arts world, but not necessarily karate world. I love it. And down. Stretch out 30 seconds, and we're going to come back with just a couple of katas. Many traditionalists consider kata the backbone of all traditional karate. I believe a number of things about kata. I won't get into too much detail about my own view on it. I believe that the first step with kata is simply learning it. So it's hard. First kata that you learn, taekwondo number 1, is 20 moves long. There's only 2 techniques in it, a lower block and a stomach punch, right? We didn't even do lower block today for the newest students, so you'll just have to figure that out. Stomach punch is the basic punch we started class with. That's it. As you get more advanced, the katas get very complicated. They start taking time to learn. They start taking lots of practice to learn. Learning the kata is only the first step. I think often because we have rank and you learn new katas at new belts, people learn a new kata and then they're like, okay, I got it. I'm ready for my next one. I'm ready to get promoted. Learning your kata is just the very beginning of it. You actually haven't gotten anything back from the kata yet. Your karate hasn't gotten better due to your kata by just learning it. You learn it, and then you start practicing it more. You start looking for nuance in it. You start looking about how the techniques string together, how one technique gets set up by the other technique. And so your techniques themselves should get better with more kata practice. So I want your thinking to be learning your kata is just the very beginning. After that, you start making it more precise, you start making it more specific, you start trying to get some things back out of it. And the more complicated the kata is, the more there is to gain, but the longer the process is. This is why it can be years between ranks at the highest levels, and the goal there isn't like, oh, I learned Koryo Goju Shiho, for example, which is a second-degree black belt kata. It's 54 moves, it's a hard kata. Once you memorize it, you can't be like, okay, I'm ready for my third-degree black belt, right? It might only take you a couple months to learn the kata really well. It should take you years to feel like you've really got a feel for it. You understand the underlying ideas. So we're gonna start with Taiko number 1. Now, we're only going to do 3 katas, right? And we're going to keep them relatively low rank. If you're at home a higher ranking student, I'm going to count slow no matter what kata we're doing. Do a different kata. So while we do Taiko number 1, feel free to do Pinan 5. It's cool. I'm going to count slow. You'll be able to keep up with us. Then we're going to move on to like Kenshi Kai 1. Pick a 15 move kata, right? So you can do San Chin, which is 16 moves technically, but you can do San Chin. You can do one of the higher Kenshi Kai katas. That's fine. I'm then going to do another 20 move kata. Maybe we'll do a Pinan 2 because it's a little more advanced, but not super advanced. Do that kata or do whatever you want. Your black belt, you know, do San Chin, do something else. I know it sounds like I said the same kata twice. I didn't. They're 2 different ones. They just sound very similar. So if you're brand new, you're following us. We might be mirror image, right? In other words, you going to your left while we're going to our right. Don't worry about that. When you get into the dojo, after all this is done, we'll clean up your Taiko number 1. Just copy what you see us doing right now. And yoi. Taiko number 1. Ich. Ni. San. Chi. Go. Rook. I'm going to start counting slower because I realized I was supposed to leave some room for the more advanced students. Sich. So if you're in Pinan 5, you're probably just totally messed up. Sorry. That's my mistake. I'm still blaming you, but it's my mistake. Hach! Yeah. Yep. Back leg turn if you're doing Arcana. Coop. Jut. Ich. Ni. San. Chi. Go. Rup. Hip. Sich. Hatch. Coop. Jut.
Yeah.
Hip. Nore, come back to where you started. Shake it out a little bit. If you're brand new and that was your first time trying to copy Taiko kata number 1, it was probably a disaster. That's fine. That's fine. You gotta start somewhere and you will get better with practice. It is not something beyond you at all. If you just did it for the first time and you're like, I got it, I nailed it, congratulations, I'm proud of you. They're gonna get harder. So, next kata we're gonna do is a 15 move kata. You can do something similar or you can do a few moves at the end. For us, it's going to be Kenshi Kai kata number 1, which is the first kata that is unique to our style of karate, Kenshi Kai karate, our and the number of other branches that do these katas. Copy us or do your own if you're a senior. And yoi. Our kata will start with the same stance to the left, but upper block instead of lower block. Ready? Ich. Step and punch. Ni. San. For those of you that may have a Shotokan background, I know there's some people out there from like BBJJ maybe following along. A lot of the techniques are identical. This is our Jodan Uke, our upper block, just like you have in Shotokan. You won't have this kata Kenshi Kai 1, but you guys can follow along. You'll know almost all the techniques. Chi. Get them right on the middle. Go. Double punch down. Geidan Morote Suki. Rook. Sich. Hachkia.
Yeah.
Hip. We're retreating, we're stepping back. Coop, for us, inside block. Juke, outside block. Lower block. Ich, to the left, upper block, and then add reverse punch. Ni, you can't see me, look at Senpai Adri. San. Chi, upper block, reverse punch again if you're doing Arcana. Go, 1, 2, ki.
Yeah.
Hip. Nore. Very good. All right, let's do one last one. So we are going to do Pinan kata number 2. That is one of our yellow belt katas, which is the 3rd belt in the system of Kenshi Kai, white belt, blue belt, yellow belt. Usually you're about a year and a half at the point where you're at this rank and learn this kata. This kata is elite. The techniques within it are much more complicated. So if you're a new student, just try to mimic the motions you see. You won't recognize many of the techniques yet. That's where we start. If you are a yellow belt, follow with Pinan 2. Do your very best. If you are above this, do whatever kata you'd like, maybe including this one. Ready? Yoi. I'm not going to explain it, just mimic the motions as best you can. Ich. Ni. San. Chi. By the way, if you're a Shotokan student, this is Heian Nidan, just our version of it. We call it Pinan 2. Go. Rup. Sich. Hach. Hip. Kup. Jup. Ich. Ni. San. You can't see us directly, maybe look in the mirror. Chi. Go. Rup. Sich. Hach. Kup. Jup. Hip. No. Very good. Shake it out. So, feel free, after we bow out, if you want to do a few more katas, you can. But now we're going to officially bow out. It's been about 50 minutes or so. Thank you very much. Let's line up. I'm going to say a couple words afterwards. If you have something to do, go ahead, feel free to log out now. I'll see the number drop down to like half because I know you guys are tired of hearing me talk. Otherwise, stay tuned for just a minute more. Shinzen down.
Ois.
Face here. Face
Oshina.
Let's face the camera. Bow to them, yeah. Face, guys. Feet together, hands together. Moxo. So you make and no. Very good. Awesome.
Oshina.
Thank you very much. You can kind of chill out, or you can go off. I'm sure we're going to see him like appear over there on the chair on his phone. One last idea that I would like to get across about traditional karate. One of the criticisms that you'll hear from a more modern martial art practitioner is the idea that like too much of it is specifically prescribed. It's like, oh, it's so regimented. You gotta do this, you gotta do this. So why is there any value in having something that regimented? Why do they care in the military about making your bed? And by the way, when I'm speaking about anything, making any kind of military analogies, first of all, martial arts is not war. We're not soldiers, and I have no experience with that. So if I say something that's incorrect about the way the military works, please, stolen valor, military friends out there, please don't get angry with me. Just a good analogy. So why do we care about making your bed in the military? Well, as I understand it, the idea is that we want to be detail-minded about absolutely everything. And so it doesn't matter as far as life and death, whether or not you make your bed, but it does matter life and death about like how you disassemble and reassemble your rifle, right? You do that wrong and it doesn't work when you need it to, or you can't clean it, then what happens? Like, it won't fire and you might get killed. So some things matter, some things don't. And technically, if you don't tie your shoes right, they could come undone at the wrong time and it could lead to a life or death situation. Making the bed's never that. So why? Because we don't want you picking and choosing which things matter and which things don't. Instead, detail-minded across the board. Take everything, not overly seriously, but take everything like you care about the way you do it, you care about the result of it, and you will see that like everything will get better, all of what you're doing, and things will become habits that you won't even have to think about anymore. You will just do the thing the right way every single time. And so when we throw a punch, here's a good, very simple example. Traditional Japanese karate has the chamber up here. Things like a taekwondo might have the chamber down here. It does not matter for safety which you do. We can make an argument about one is better for like how hard you hit. It's splitting hairs. But one that they would both agree is if you throw a punch with your thumb on the inside of your fist, you're gonna break your thumb. So this detail matters. I have to have my thumb outside of my fist. This detail doesn't matter as much. But maybe, most people will be able to figure out thumb inside is a danger. But people won't necessarily always pick the right ones. There might be others that are more subtle. Kids don't understand this. Their instinct often is to put their thumb inside. So they'll do it that way. We tell them to do that way instead. We also tell them to have their chamber here, not to have it like this. There's all these little details that matter and other details that don't, And we don't want students cherry picking which ones they care about. And also we want an overall sense of being detail minded. This is another reason why traditional martial arts is so valuable to children, is that we're teaching them to pay attention to every detail. To think that this is how you get good at things, is to pay attention and you work harder and you polish and you sharpen. And again, the way I like to teach, the way that my students like to do karate is not to take it like the whole thing is life and death, like the whole thing is that serious. The way I sometimes like to describe it is that it's a really fun thing to choose to take seriously. All the martial arts are like that. I know jiu-jitsu practitioners as well, they love to think of it as war on the mats, life and death. It's not, it's fun. We've decided to come out here, dress up, throw punches and kicks, roll around on the mats and wrestle with each other. Like the whole goal of it should be to be fun. It's also really fun to get really good at things. And so that's the other reason that we're gonna focus on these details just as much. So thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. We're gonna do them again. This will also be up on YouTube, so you can watch it again if you'd like, or show it to somebody else, or share it. Thank you again. Os.